mama shares her wisdom, youths them chant for change. The radio no silence the struggles we face. Amplify the joy, the pain, the grace. Not making the rhythm, cocoa in the bass. Real FM hold the mirror to the spice all face.
Good morning, guys. It is a beautiful Tuesday morning on the outside, and excuse my voice, I have strep throat, as they would like to call it, but nevertheless, I'm not the host of this program. I'm just here this morning to give a word of prayer. So before we dive into it, dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for bringing us here today. We thank you for your grace, your mercies. We thank you for your healing hands, Lord Jesus. We thank you for just allowing us to go about each and every single day, Lord Jesus, better than we did the following. Father God, as we proceed with today's proceedings, I pray that you would just take charge and control. You would bless us in our going out and our returning, and Lord Jesus, you would just help us to remain positive and productive as much as possible. Be with us, our family, and our friends. In Jesus' name, I pray. Amen. And good morning, guys. Big surprise for you guys this morning. But like I said, I'm not the host this morning. I am going to hand you over to your host for this morning. It's 7:36. Let me see really quickly, guys, because of the late start. If I can provide you guys with the weather before we jump into it. So this morning's forecast, it is mostly fair with a few light nighttime showers. Winds will be east-northeasterly to east-southeasterly at 12 to 22 miles per hour. Maximum temperature for today should feel around 32.0 degrees Celsius. Tides will be high this morning at 9:15 a.m. We have a low tide coming in at 3:30 p.m. and another high tide at 10:30 p.m. tonight. Today's sunset should be at around 6:31 a.m. and tomorrow's sunrise should be at about 5:42 a.m. So just to recap, the weather for today is mostly fair with a few light nighttime showers. Now, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and hand you guys over to your host for this morning. He's going to introduce himself. He's going to give you guys a little bit of background. And have a great day, guys. Good morning.
Awesome. What an introduction. Thank you so much, Navi. My sidekick this morning. This is Tafawa Pierre. And this is Real FM 91.9 and 91.5. That's so awesome to see. I never got to see that before. I've been in the studio before. I'm not a stranger. I'm sitting in for Brother Andrew Donald, who is dealing with some important matters. So until then, you would see some of me. There's no way I can fill the shoes, but I'll give it the best shot I can. And I think I have the best technical operator in studio this morning. Beautiful smile, although she's maybe troubled with a little bit of hoarseness. I think most of us are troubled with the Saharan dust.
Yeah.
I was thinking about using a mask today to protect myself because I'm too a little bit hoarse, but God is good.
Of course.
And we get through this nonetheless. So, viewers, listeners, it's such an awesome privilege to be on Real FM, to spend some time with you this morning. Catch us on 91.9 and 91.5 and also on YouTube on Real FM Grenada. So we're hitting the world today, Nabi. Not just Grenada, Carriacou, Pitamatic, but we're speaking to the entire world. And it's such an awesome blessing. On my way to the studio, I was just thinking about how lucky we are to be alive. And I was driving, really fresh air. I met some nice smiley faces. And I said, wow, it's so much different in Iran now. With the bombardment from Israel and so on. We are truly blessed to be in that part of the world. And I think we ought to be more grateful. Because obviously it's not much rain falling, but the place is still green. We're still able to eat. We're still living in peace. Not perfect, but I think we can boast about being in a space, in a spot in the world that is quite peaceful. We still love each other, I think one of the things we can boast about is our friendliness, our people. how we live. I mean, if you speak up to any visitor at all, they will say to you the best part of Grenada is its people. You know, never mind the food and the drink, because there's always better food and better drink somewhere else. But when it comes to people, what stays with us when we travel is the friendliness of the people and the warmth of the people. And that's something we should guard jealously. I find these days, though, we get a little bit grumpy.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's Saharan dust
I don't know. what
or
it
maybe
is.
the dry season. We get a bit grumpy these days. And I think we need to quickly watch that and do something about it.
Yeah.
I was saying to myself when I was coming up, particularly on social media, we get very harsh with each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
People are not able to freely speak anymore.
No.
Even polite speech attracts a lot of hate to me, I think.
Yeah.
But particularly
backlash.
with the politics and so on, you know.
Oh yes.
I'm thinking that we ought to be more tolerant, because I'm a person, I guard jealously my right to speak openly and to share my opinion.
Of course.
I feel very strongly about that, and I think each of us should feel strongly about that gift to speak freely. And we have a wonderful platform, which is social media, to express ourselves and to say almost anything. I believe we can do so with respect, looking at each other's humanity. I mean, there's no need to get so angry with everything. People are extremely harsh, particularly on Facebook. And I wonder, what are we teaching our young ones? I mean, we ought to be examples. We tend to blame them from time to time. But, of course, it's we, the adults, that are behaving badly on Facebook and so on. And the fact now that we can use fake names and fake profiles,
Oh yes.
that has given us the license maybe to say almost anything. Curse, call names, make allegations that are unfounded. It's a concern, and I think we need to pay attention. I think we can share our view, and we can be respectful.
Yeah.
We can have a difference of opinion, and still be smart about how we refer to people and so on. I looked at a post on Facebook with a lady who quite angry. She maybe made a innocent post, and she was attacked viciously, and she came out and was very raw, even obscene about expressing herself in terms of her annoyance that she got attacked on Facebook. Is that the cure? I doubt. As adults, we need to just be different, particularly when we have an audience.
Yes.
In many instances, who are younger ones or kids, and so we need to do better. I think we can have a decent argument, a strong argument, and not be disrespectful. We can stay away from calling names and disrespecting each other, and still make a strong point, make a convincing point.
Yes.
So I find that is something that we need to obviously work on. I'm a frequent user of Facebook, I must say. I post quite a bit.
I try not to go on there.
Yeah, I know, but I post quite a bit. I do a prayer with boundaries every morning from 5 a.m. and that goes live on Facebook. So I start up my morning very early using the platform, and then from time to time I would post different pieces of opinion that I believe I have the right to. A lot of them, incite a lot of harsh backlash. But once I prepare a post, I look at it at different angles, and I make a conscious decision to be respectful, to be truthful as much as possible, even if it includes my opinion. But I try to keep it in a way where it can sit well with a reader. They may not necessarily agree with me, but they say, yeah, well, I don't agree with him, but he's clean. And that's what I aim to do. So once it's out there, I'm comfortable in defending it. And I vow never to use a fake name. So the name Tafawa Pay, I'm very proud of it. And that's what I would use. But the point is, using my real name and my real profile forces me to be respectful, forces me to say the right thing as much as possible, and be respectable to other persons. So once you're hiding, you get a license to be blatant, to be ugly. And I don't know how that sits with another adult, because even if I'm hiding the mask, I'd be very embarrassed if I'm saying things that are hurtful, you know.
True.
And we ought to be careful. I think social media is causing a lot of the pressure. People
I believe so.
Yeah, quite depressed. And so people are hiding from sharing their opinion because they are afraid of what we call bullying online. Right? We believe that it's just children who are bullied. But now on social media, people say almost anything you could think about. They call you names. I remember about a year ago, there's a gentleman who the name he used is, I believe I know the person. These days you just don't know who it is. But he did a piece focusing on my wife. And when my son saw it, he said, "Daddy, I don't know why you wrote that." And I said to him, I guess different of opinion. But he was quite rude, called her names and so on. Unfounded with no facts, no evidence, but he did it nonetheless. So how is he affecting my son, for example, who doesn't understand the basis for what he's doing? So I think we need to be more careful. And again, I'm saying this because we are known to be friendly and warm and sweet. That to me is what truly describes a Grenadian. Not oil dung or jab or anything else. It's our friendliness. What you get, what we exude when we see a visitor, for example, and each other, is what people remember. And I believe if we make that part of the package, when we speak on Facebook, when we go on Instagram, and when we do TikTok, we would be much better off. I find that people who are supposed to be intelligent, who we look up to, they get very distasteful. And I believe it's because of the politics.
It is.
It's because of the politics. But you know, it's part of our life. We just have to find a way to treat it in a manner that is respectful. And I'm comfortable. I normally say to my sons, if you can argue and keep seated, that's a good practice. Don't get up on your feet at all. Remain seated and have a strong discussion. Because once you get up on your feet, it brings a different vibes and can send the wrong message. So I'm thinking that we really need to be nicer to each other and look out for each other.
Of course.
I mean, I grew up in an environment in Paraclete where we shared naturally. You know, maybe on a Sunday or other days, you just always got something to bring to the neighbor, and the neighbor send back something. Sometimes you choose to eat by the neighbor. There was a kind of social contract that existed where you felt at home by the neighbor's house, and they treated you as their own children. We're losing that. We become very gated now. Very selfish, where we keep to our own. I'm thinking that is kind of breaking out of who we are as a people. And I long for those days when you can just feel at home almost anywhere you go in your community. People look out for you. People fed you with no inhibition, with no issue. You know, I go back to my childhood days, and that is what I use as solace to say, well, things could get better.
Right.
You know, we've gotten very selfish, you know, in how we operate now. I remembered when in Paraclete, when we only had one person with a telephone in the village, and you would get calls from your loved ones, but as a second call, because the first call they called to say, tell so-and-so that I'm going to call back. And then the family would go down and line up to get a talk on the phone, right? That was true community spirit and togetherness. And we never felt as though the person who was providing the service was doing it with any grudge. It appears as though they welcome us and we are able to maybe go in the veranda and watch some TV, things like that. Imagine there was a time when there was only one television in the village or in a nearby space. and we went to look at the television at the time. Where are our communities going? We're losing that kind of a spirit that I think we really need to go back to. And that says a lot in how we treat each other and so on. You know, you could actually put a pot on the fire and you just have water. And you can go by the neighbor and pick up the other stuff. And that sends a real warm message that we are living in a space of togetherness. And that is what I long for. I mean, I wish my sons grew up in that environment. It's quite different now.
It is.
You know, and people seem a little bit more to themselves. And we spend a lot of time on the phone speaking to other people. And those around us, we neglect them. You know, there are people among us who have basic needs, for example, that we need to pay just a little more attention. And it doesn't require a lot. You know, maybe sometimes it's just a hello or hi or just to listen. You know, listen to the issue. And don't really give an advice, just listen. And persons feel relieved. You know, to me there's a lot of depression going around. People are struggling for one reason or the other. And it appears that our coping mechanism now is a bit reduced. We're not able to cope as we used to. Maybe we need to start to peel behind mangoes again. Yeah, that maybe is a way to relieve stress. But now we seem quite depressed. You know, I speak to a lot of people young. At my age, I couldn't understand a young boy or a teenager. We didn't embrace depression or stress at all. It was something that adults did. Mm-hmm. Now you hear it among younger people who are quite depressed, who are stressed out, it appears, you know, and that bothers me. I'm not sure if it is because of a lack of the community spirit or just a lack of general activity, just togetherness. Mm-hmm. It's causing us to feel lonely and maybe separated. And people are really depressed. Mm-hmm. So now we've had a few suicides.
Yeah.
We will never know why. We speculate all along, but obviously we need to now touch base with a level of consciousness and be better to each other. Mm-hmm. I just find it has gotten really bad.
It has.
You know, it's gotten really bad that we're not nice to each other anymore. And I remember at my home, whenever there's a bunch of bananas, for example, mm-hmm. my mother took great pride in the handing and sending by this person and sending by this person. Right. And when you go to bring the hand a banana, more than like you'll get something that they produce. You know, that was a real cool thing. Yeah. You know, it's different now. Can we get back to that? I don't know. It might be our greatest dream. Maybe we should spend some more time on that than we fight and squabble so much over things that really should bring us together. Like the politics, we should be bonded because of our difference.
Yeah.
That's a crazy thought, but what makes us special is because we are different. And we ought to use that as a means we can draw closer to each other. So that was my bit of introduction. It's not what we are going to do for the morning. We expect a guest. Well, he's in the studio. He's Dr. Augustine Panchu, and he's with us. And for the next few minutes, we'll have some conversations. Okay, so we take a break.
We'll take a break, yeah.
And we'll come right back. Thank you, Navi.
In an industry where customers expect quality, M&N Hardware Limited is a leader in locally manufactured aluminum windows, doors, roofing, and guttering. Our manufacturing division is efficient, flexible, and will always go the extra mile to surpass customer expectations. If you need security, sash, casement, or projected windows, we're able to do it. Our security and heavy-duty doors are state-of-the-art and can be customized specifically for you. Using innovative coating technologies and protective film, our roofing and guttering is weather-resistant, providing outstanding color retention for many years. Available in 24 and 26 gauge and a variety of color options. We are the leading company, a family that is proving to customers they can have their dream products. M&N Hardware Limited. Foundation to roof, let's build together.
Angel's Beauty Salon and Barbershop, Bruce Street Mall, St. George's, your one-stop destination for all things beauty. Hair services, relaxes, waves, treatments, braids, cornrows, natural hairstyles, locks and lock installation, wig installation, nail services, acrylic nails, gel nails, pedicures, and more. Call or WhatsApp us today, 1473-403-4421 to book your appointment today.
Stop paying full price. With Flow, you can slash your bill in half. You heard right. Cut your mobile bill in half when you add mobile to internet. That's the most reliable Wi-Fi at home. Plus, all the data you need on the go. So don't wait. Double your connection and double your value for half the price. Add mobile to internet today. Visit in-store or online at discoverflow.co for more details.
There is a difference between shopping and shopping well. For nearly 45 years, Calico has understood that difference. Because great shopping is not just about shelves, it's about standards. A place that feels safe, comfortable, and easy to enjoy. At Calico, quality is not hoped for, it is expected. More than a supermarket, Calico is your wholesale partner, your source for dependable appliances and everyday household essentials. Families trust the name, businesses rely on the consistency, communities recognize the standard. And the best part? Value that is always practical, prices that are always fair, and deals that are always waiting for you. Because shopping should never feel uncertain, it should feel assured. This is confidence. This is a legacy. This is Calico. Calico, Calico, Calico. Your one-stop shop.
The new Grenville Credit Union debit card has made online shopping easier than ever. Quick, secure, and hassle-free. Just tap, pay, and shop with confidence. Get yours today.
So yeah, what now? You're looking for a place to turn up your sexiness, right? On Saturday, June 20th, we get ready for Sand and Shade, the sexiest beach party in the north. And it's going down inside Shade's Beach Bar, Subtaz, with music by DJ Joan Boy, DJ Neutron, DJ Rundown, and DJ Nash, with 2 live bands, Clef Band, and Sakina and Alpha One Band. All this action, and your admission is absolutely free.
Are you serious?
It's free. Bring your sexiness and come early. Saturday, June 20th. Sponsored by Cuff Engineering, Spice Mobile, Hezron Trucking and Equipment Services, Gilbert and Partners, Simply Pure Afro Processing, Rude Boy, Smirnoff, Hennessy, Cadbury, DJ Copper, Real FM, and Calico. So remember, Saturday, June 20th, it's Sand and Shades. Shades Beach Bar, Subtaz. You know it's hella.
I eating at Scorpions then. I drinking at Scorpions then. I chilling at Scorpions then. Together at Scorpions then.
Grenada, are you ready for the carnival brunch of all carnival brunches? It's the pre-Father's Day experience, June 14th. Get ready for White with a Touch of Glow experience, premium brunch vibes, delicious food, glowing energy, and non-stop entertainment from 4 p.m. Music by DJ White Boy, John Boy, Cut Squad and PK, Rundown and Skilla, Mad Kiss, Selector O2, MC Nas and DJ Charles. Live band entertainment by Prestige Event. You'll also be entertained by our 5-time Soca Monarch, none other than B-O-Y-Z-I-E. Yes, it's the man Rasim yourself, Boise. On the entertainment on in white. Add your touch of glow and come out to eat, drink, vibe, and celebrate Father's Day in true. Tickets now available at Calico Hotels, Jimmy Bones Montreal, Chef, JST Chicken Rolls in Junction, These Autos in Libera, any of the Carnival committee members. Regular tickets 100 and VIP 250. When Carnival meets run, be there, be there, be there.
Stop paying full price. With Flow, you can slash your bill in half. You heard right. Cut your mobile bill in half when you add mobile to internet. That's the most reliable Wi-Fi at home. Plus, all the data you need on the go. So don't wait. Double your connection and double your value for half the price. Add mobile to internet today. Visit in-store or online at discoverflow.co for more details.
Angels Beauty Salon and Barbershop, Bruce Street Mall, St. George's, your one-stop destination for all things beauty. Hair services, relaxes, waves, treatments, braids, cornrows, natural hairstyles, locks and lock installation, wig installation, nail services, acrylic nails, gel nails, pedicures, and more. Call or WhatsApp us today, 1473-403-4421 to book your appointment today.
Real expression on 919 Real FM. Unfiltered truth, cultural pride, and the power of radio to amplify voices in Grenada. Whoa! Tune in on the spice side, where the airwaves free read. On the radio see. Whoa! No sugar-coated lyrics, no fabricated vibe, just the raw truth a flow like Mount Kwakwa tribe. Ooh. From Grand Anse to St. George, this the people them a shout. Real expression now hide, let your heart pour out. Ooh. Ooh. Microphone to the heavens, the signal strong and clear. Voices of the voiceless, the oppressed, the sincere. Real FM are the vessel, your message fill the air. Speak your truth, Grenada, where your heart there. Real expression, real connection. 91.9 the righteous reflection. From the hills to the harbor, hear the nation sing. Real FM, the sound where make freedom ring. Real expression, real connection. 91.9 the righteous reflection. From the hills to the harbor, hear the nation sing. Real FM, the sound where make freedom ring. Fisherman chant the blues, farmer hymn the rain. Mama shares her wisdom, youths them chant for change. The radio no silence the struggles we face. Amplify the joy, the pain, the grace. Nutmeg in the rhythm, cocoa in the bass. Real FM hold the mirror to the spice all face. Truth select and let the people speak. 91.9 no weak heart, no meek. From Carriacou shores to the Crater Lake beat. Real expression loud and the nation loves. Lyrics are a temple, the DJ is the priest. Every song a sermon, every word released. No censorship, no chains, just the soul laid bare. Grenada's heartbeat pulsing through the FM here. When the storm take the island, the signal still repair. Real FM 91.9, the sound of prayer. Real expression, real vibration. 91.9, the soul of the nation. Keep the frequency alive, no hesitation. Grenada voice rise. Real expression, real vibration.
All right, good morning. We're back. This is Real FM 91.9, 91.5, and you also catch us on Real FM Grenada on YouTube. And with me, we have our guest, Dr. Augustine Pancho. The name is Tafao Pay, and I'm sitting in for Andre, who is dealing with some important business, but we're keeping things going. Good morning to you, Mr. Andre Down, wherever you are now. God's favor and blessings over you. This morning we'll be discussing an important topic, domestic violence, and focusing on men just a little bit. This emanated from another program we had on Sunday where Dr. Pancho presented on domestic violence pertaining to men in particular. And we just had 30 minutes. And I recognize that 30 minutes will be no way close to doing any justice to such an important topic. So hence we have him back this morning for a little bit longer, and he has graciously accepted. Thank you so much. Dr. Pancho is one who is very meager when it comes to sharing his bio with me. So I would just say that he's a renowned clinical psychologist, and he currently lectures at a university in the United States.
Yeah.
In the United States. So that's enough. If you want to say more about himself, he can certainly do so. But of course, he's a household name when it comes to these matters, and we're very, very happy to have him. Welcome, and thank you for acceding to our request.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Pierre. Good morning to the listening audience and fans of Real FM. Andre, I trust that you are doing okay. Thank you for the invitation, Mr. Pierre, both to be on your Sunday program, which I really enjoyed immensely, and I told you in advance that lecture or that presentation I was doing was really also, for me, and I am excited to participate this morning. We have a little more time, so we can go into a lot of depth about domestic violence and how it affects the family and how it does affect the Grenadian society.
Awesome. So you need to share this live. If you're on YouTube, please share it, because that's an important topic, and we're going to delve into it a little bit. It is of great value to every person. And domestic violence continues to be a scourge that affects our families, our communities, women, men, and children. Tooth moon bagay.
Yeah, certainly.
Today we want to just understand the issue from a psychological perspective, explore its causes, the impact, and discuss some practical ways to prevent it and to support healthy relationships. What we want to do is to have better and healthier relationships. So we'll start right there, and you just give us an understanding of how would we define domestic violence. Sunday, I was quite surprised, and we were not just domestic violence anymore. So you'll tell us about how we define that.
Certainly. There is a working definition for when we refer to domestic violence. And domestic violence, it's family violence, really and truly. It's not just one person. So it includes a range of abuse, including economic, physical, sexual, emotional, and psychological abuse towards children, adults, and elders. Very often we think it's only about the partners, but there is something called vicarious trauma. That is, people are affected by what they see and what they hear, even though it is not targeted to them specifically. So children who are in the home and see spousal abuse, so whether it is verbal, physical, or sexual, or manipulation, whatever the form of abuse is, and we are going to talk a little about the different forms of abuse as the program goes on. Even parents, sometimes families are in relationships, but they still reside with their parents. So there you have the elderly who experience the abuse also. So really and truly, domestic violence covers everyone from the abused, the abuser, the abused, the children, the adults who are intimately involved in the home, and that's domestic violence. And then there is another branch that we talked a lot about on Sunday, and that is, we call it intimate partner violence. That is where the violence is targeted against an intimate partner, and that could be in isolation. So if you're in isolation, you're living by yourself in your own little marriage, and there are no children involved. When the abuse happens, we refer to it as intimate partner violence. So any form of violence that is targeted against another person, whether it is male, female, female, male, 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 female, female, whatever kinds of violence that is targeted against another person, economic, physical, sexual, emotional, psychological, any form of abuse, we refer it as a broad umbrella as domestic violence. When it is targeted against your lover, the person that you go to bed with, we refer to it as intimate partner violence. So that's our working definition for what we're going to talk about this
Awesome.
morning.
So now we got that out of the way. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Doctor. I know there's a misconception. When people hear domestic violence, they believe it's just physical violence. What are some of the other forms of violence? And with that, we could speak about some of the misconceptions. Because some people believe I'm doing that, maybe I'm shouting at home, and that is not violence. You know.
Well, domestic violence on a whole comes in really many forms. Of course, it is easy for us to identify physical violence, okay? So it involves kicking, punching, pinching, throwing water on, or bleach, or, choking. This is physical abuse, physical violence. Then we talk about the emotional side of it. So we have emotional abuse. This is where you play with the mind. Okay, so you call names, you threaten, whether you threaten to physically harm, or you threaten to withdraw your love, or some form of threat. That's emotional abuse. Then we have financial abuse. Financial abuse where you withhold monies from the partner. So that's economic or financial abuse. You use children sometimes as pawns. So unless you tell the partner, okay, unless you're intimate with me, I will not, or I will give X, Y, Z. Okay, so sometimes men, we are talking about that, and the research does show that predominantly males are probably guilty of perpetrating domestic violence much more than women do. Okay, then you have stalking, which is a form. These days, we have the easy access to the World Wide Web, which is the internet, of course, and so partners will track each other. Partners will stalk. Partners will bully. Sometimes expose intimate information about you to the world when they're angry. So this also is a form of domestic violence. And
Right.
I am going to add one. It is not really in the books yet, but I introduced it on Sunday. And I want to say here that one form of domestic violence that people are yet to really understand the impact of is infidelity or cheating. So it's not in the books yet, but according to my research and my experience, when a partner cheats, he or she is inflicting some kind of psychological or emotional abuse on the other person, and that is a form of domestic violence. How many, I have seen, you look on Facebook. Facebook is my news media, one of the better news media anyways. But you look on Facebook and you see irate partners keying somebody's car, burning their clothes or doing. This is because there is this traumatic experience that goes along with infidelity and with cheating. Even suicide. Sometimes men are a little more vulnerable when it comes to infidelity. In other words, they are more prone to express the effects of the emotional effects of cheating, and so they take their lives. You know, you've heard people say, I am taking, he took his life because of tobacco. Well, so that's a colloquial expression for really the psychological and emotional effects of infidelity and cheating. It therefore means that if cheating is going to cause a person to take his life or to threaten suicide or to resort to a state of depression, it is a form of domestic violence.
Right, awesome stuff. So the Caribbean statistics are not looking very well, because it's saying that up to 55% of women experience domestic violence at some stage in their lives.
Yeah.
And that's a lot. It therefore means that if they're speaking about women in terms of that data, then men appear to be the perpetrators. I must say though, Dr. Pancho, that because of our culture, men tend to report incidents of domestic violence far less.
Yeah.
Because of pride, because of this macho feeling. But it's happening at both sides. All right. Why is this happening? What are some of the psychological reasons?
Well, I don't know that there is a good reason for the perpetration of domestic violence. I want to take us back to a point, Mr. Pierre, and our listeners. Bear with us. We're going to open the phone line sometimes, right?
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Okay. I want to take us back to relationships. I believe if we understand relationship, even from Genesis perspective, okay, we understand that God made man and woman to be in social and romantic relationships. Okay, this is our destiny, really and truly. We're not supposed to be alone, and we're not supposed to be, So, well, there are some people who choose to be alone, or not in romantic relationships. But generally, we thrive on and we yearn for intimate relationships. Okay. Now, if we understand the concept of a man and a woman coming together, we have to understand that the two now become one. Okay. And generally we symbolize it through marriage. Okay, so your wife takes on your name, and the children also do, and so there is a oneness. Now, intimate partner violence or domestic violence is a betrayal of that oneness. So I want us to see it in that perspective. Every time you put a hand on, every time you say something nasty about your partner, every time you threaten, every time you play games, you hide their phone, or you go into the phone without their permission, or you withhold money from them because she or he said something. Every time you do that, you are betraying the tenets of what a relationship is all about. A relationship involves caring, sharing, mutual respect for each other. Okay? Domestic violence violates, that's why it is domestic violence. It violates every principle of what a relationship is. So that's why I'm saying I don't think there is ever a good reason for you to beat up on the person that you are having intimate relationship with and she's bearing your children. Okay, there is never a good reason, but you ask, so I'm going to give you what the research says are some of the reasons.
Right.
One, a false sense of control and power. Men predominantly believe that they can control their woman, their wife, their significant other, if they inflict some pain or some form of hurt, so that she or he in some cases will succumb to them. That's a false narrative. A narrative that says, I must pinch you, choke you, pull you, push you, slap you for you to respect me or for you to love me. It's a false narrative.
Yeah, it is. I agree.
You know?
I agree with that.
Right. And so that's what domestic violence and intimate partner violence really is. So we men are socialized to believe that violence is okay. Because if you use violence, you get the other person to succumb to you, to acquiesce to your wishes.
Right.
That cannot be love.
Yeah, Doc, I was going to ask that. Naturally, men are stronger.
Yes.
Naturally, we are viewed to be the protector, provider in most instances.
Yeah.
What does Notia do to the man that can cause him to become violent? Because I don't think we are naturally violent.
No, we are not. That's the thing about it. We are not naturally violent, but we look in society where violence is so normalized that we think it's right. So you see children playing. Boys are not born with the tendency to be violent against girls. No, but then we start socializing our boys, and we see the violence, and we see violence in music. Okay, the names we call women. We really don't even understand, and it irks me because we don't even understand that the songs that we sing that are so derogatory to women, and women enjoy it, right? They believe it's glamorous, but it's not glamorous. It's violence against women.
I'm not sure if they enjoy it. I guess it's a misconception.
Probably,
because
yes, yeah.
you hear men using the B word to describe women.
Yeah.
Women using the B word to describe other women.
Yes.
And they're using it not in a derogatory way, but in a complimentary way.
Yes.
But I'm thinking that if you're allowed to use the B word to respond or to refer to a woman, that sets off something. It makes her appear lower than she is.
Yes.
Because
absolutely.
she's not just a beautiful woman, but she's the B word. And so I'm thinking that Notia, what we say to our kids. So for example, I mean, when we grow up, our boys, even I do it sometime when they were younger, I say, don't bother with that, man. Just a little fall. Don't cry. Don't let us see you cry. Things like that. We have to snap out of that.
Yes.
Because I've found that the men who cry tend to be able to cope better. I haven't cried in a long time.
Absolutely. Well, you see, there is something, and your wife, your wife, I listen to her, and she is really good at talking about emotional intelligence, right? This is one of the things that we need to perpetuate, and we need to get going all the time. So let me tell you this. There is something called emotional regulation. That is a person's ability to respond appropriately. And watch my word, right?
Yeah, that's the word.
To any situation. So it could be a hostile situation. There is a way to respond. It could be a calm situation. It could be a crisis. There is a way that is appropriate to respond. And so sometimes men don't have that regulation. We're not socialized. We're very impulsive in the way we are socialized. So when you talk about nurture has to do with what is it that the environment is doing to our boys? What is it that the parents are doing? Our preachers, our political leaders. What are we doing to help our children to understand the value of women, not to debase them, also to treat them as fair maidens. That's what they're supposed to be to us. They're supposed to be cherished and loved and treated really well, rather than abused and hurt and humiliated and embarrassed in public. Okay?
I'm wondering, Doc, I know we're talking about nurture here.
Yeah.
An adult man who is unable to look after his family because of financial difficulties, maybe it's inability to get a job, for example, or it's underemployment, for example. I'm not using that as excuses.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about triggers now.
Yeah.
How can a financial situation or lack of funds, so to speak, how can that be a trigger? Is that a trigger?
That is absolutely a trigger. So let me go back now. Men are seen as the providers. We are socialized to believe that we're supposed to take care of our women. Okay? Not only that, but women are made to believe and nurtured into thinking that when I get married, that my husband or my spouse, significant other, etc., is going to take care of me. That's their role and that's their duty. This is not something that we can chide and get rid of easily. It's part of our culture. It's who we are. So, when a man is not able to provide for his children or his spouse or his significant other financially, he feels emasculated. He feels less of a person. Trust me. So sometimes when men are in that situation, they do not have the words. I tell you this, women have more words than men. You know that, right? That's what the research is, right? Women have twice or three times more the number of words men have in the vocabulary and or we use every day. So men respond. They respond with anger. They respond with frustration. They respond with isolation, not talking, shutting down, because they feel emasculated that they can't provide. So economic situation is not a valid reason to perpetrate domestic violence, but certainly it is one that is in our psyche. It affects men when they think, boy, somebody else might be able to provide for their woman, their family, and I can't, and so they are in that state of frustration. And it comes out sometimes in violence.
Right. So yeah, that's some good stuff, Doc. So I'm also thinking that we consume a lot of alcohol in Grenada and in the Caribbean.
Yes.
And I know we do have no. We're heading fast. Well, we're already there in terms of the decriminalization of marijuana, and so that it's easier to access and use and so on. How does the abuse of alcohol and other drugs? What role does that play? Are they playing a role in the domestic violence statistics?
Well, any substance, I submit this morning that any substance that affects one's level of reasoning, we call it sobriety, okay? Or awareness. Anything that affects your awareness will affect your behavior. So when we consume alcohol in excess, even minimal use, and I'm not knocking people who drink. I don't drink, and I know you don't drink either. But alcohol, other forms of illegal drugs, even prescription drugs, they affect our awareness, our consciousness about things, and it affects our behavior. You asked the question, now that we are introducing, decriminalizing marijuana, are we going to see an increase in the use? Maybe we will. I want to think so. The research in every island or in every state in the United States where that has happened, there is an increase. What does it do? Of course, cannabis is a hallucinogen in terms of a drug. So once you take it, it's going to mess with your mind. And when it messes with the mind, it is going to affect the way we behave. So we have to be very cautious about the intake of alcohol and other drugs, including marijuana, because these drugs do affect the way we behave. And sometimes when we are inhibited that is we intoxicated, we see behaviors that are not normal for people, and they take that behavior to the family,
Right.
and so it is something we have to guard our young men against, and adults have to be really cautious about how they drink and what kind of a substance they consume.
Right. It's interesting because the way we're nurtured and cultured as men, for example, you seem to be the odd one when you say you like to have a malt instead of a beer. I've had many a times when men my age jeered at me because I opted for a soft drink outside of an alcoholic drink. And they cannot understand why I'm not taking something stronger. No, I'm just saying this to say that there exists a pressure in our society for men to behave in a certain way, right? And so it's complex for a young man, for example, to navigate around that, to remain in a place where he can now behave in a certain way, but he's almost normal to have a beer or to have a drink. I'm not knocking the alcohol users either. I'm just saying that certainly can trigger, because it alters your behavior, your mind. It can trigger that. As a former police officer, I responded to many calls of domestic violence that was triggered by alcohol use, alcohol abuse. That went from slapping and pushing to murder. Right, in my time as a police officer.
But I also here is another form of domestic violence that we don't consider. So let me add it right now. Not only does alcohol alter the state of awareness, messes with the mind, but there is a financial burden that alcohol brings to the family. Exactly. I'm pausing, I'm saying it slow because I want my listening audience to get it. When you go to the bars or when you go to a party, very often the people who are consuming the more alcohol are men. But men are providers.
Right.
It therefore means for every shot of whiskey or every Carib, I hope we don't get sued for saying Carib, but every alcohol drink that you consume, it's taking away a $10 or $15 from your grocery bill, right? So that's 2 pounds of chicken wings, and that's a pound of rice and a pound of sugar. That should be in your family. I have seen men go out on the weekend and spend $200-300 in the jiffy, and Monday morning they have absolutely nothing to give to the child or their wife or their spouse to send the children to school. So there is this part of the domestic violence that we have to understand also.
Add an insult to injury. But the question is, we have agreed that domestic violence goes both ways.
Yeah.
Why are men find it more difficult to report domestic violence or to speak about it?
Yeah, that's a good question. And there is something about misplaced masculinity that we sociologists really talk about, okay? So one, it is beneath a man's ego, that's his ego now speaking, to report that his partner slapped him around or is abusing him, because he is scared of being jiled by his friends, and the public now sees him. You know, we live in a small society. Even if you report it to the police, it gets out, right? So men they're sort of embarrassed that they have to report that a woman is abusing them. So that's part of the ego insensitivity that we probably need to tell men, hey, when you need help, you need to reach out also. But also, it's an embarrassing thing. it's not just hey, my ego is bruised, but it's an embarrassing thing to feel that a woman has more power than you. Because men, you introduced it, you said we're stronger physically, emotionally we should be very supportive, and if we are in a battered relationship, or if we're in a relationship that includes domestic violence, then it embarrasses us. It embarrasses us. So we are less prone to report, whereas women are always the one that is the tender ones and the ones that should be cared for. And they see themselves in that role. And whenever we violate that role, they feel obligated to tell somebody. You see? Because they're looking at us and saying, but you're supposed to protect me. You're supposed to care for me. You're supposed to provide for me. And when you do not do it, then I have the right, I'm entitled to telling somebody about you. You understand? Men see it in the reverse way. They're saying, yes, I am supposed to protect you. And if it is known that you are beating on me, then it bruised my ego.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm seeing a trend, but long has been a trend. We've embraced and become very accustomed to, for example, violent language in song, how we refer to women, and we've almost accepted it as a way of life. So that a lot of us, our music, they're tainted with phrases that connotes violence against women, although there might be some sexual connotation to it as well that make it seem softer. But I'm just saying, in a way, it's teaching those who are listening that it's okay to be rough on women, for example. And as a man, if you're appeared to be softer, other men say, nah, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
I remember years ago, I have a softer side to me, so I was pinning up some clothes. I do some laundry at home. And a man who should know better saw me and said, what are you really doing? I mean, you look like a woman doing that. That's what he said.
Yeah.
And I found that to be quite, how do I say, annoying. I didn't share my annoyance, but I'm just saying, well, I'm a family man. I'm supposed to do that.
Yeah.
But here's another family man who views that as being soft.
Yeah.
And that kind of a connotation affects men the wrong way. And we believe now that we have to be rough, that we have to be tough, that we have to show it in our song. And if we do anything else, people view us and categorizes us as soft.
Yeah. And this is a really, really good point. Because when what you have introduced there now as a form of domestic violence, really and truly it is a sort of gender bias or gender sensitive issue where we have roles for men, roles for women, right? And I now must live up to my role. And so, for example, we end up putting pressure. Let me say it simply. We end up putting added burden on our spouses because we can be at home, but because we have categorized gender roles, we believe that I should not do the dishes and I should not sweep and mop and I should not clean the bathroom and wait until my wife gets home. And now when she gets home, she is obligated to do it because in her role, she sees herself as the one who cares for the family. And so she may be doing it and not fussing about it, but really and truly, it's a form of domestic violence.
You're right. So that's a good way to take time to take a break. When we get back, we're talking about impact of domestic violence on victims and families.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Ada, we supply fertilizers, herbicides, seedlings and nursery supplies, diesel water pumps, walk behind tillers, organic and environmentally friendly agricultural inputs. We're serving you from 2 locations at Birch Grove and booth 34 at the Vendors Market in Grenville. Cost-effective agricultural solutions for all your needs. Visit Gittins Home and Garden Center for the best in everything agriculture. Call us on 409-2175 or 438 4337. Gittins Home and Garden Center. From your farm to your backyard.
The new Granville Credit Union debit card has made online shopping easier than ever. Quick, secure, and hassle-free. Just tap, pay, and shop with confidence. Get yours today.
Step inside. Immerse yourself in colors that come alive.
Color by Sissons.
Let your imagination run wild. Surround yourself in a world of color.
Color by Sissons.
Endless inspiration. Bold expression. Bold expression.
Color by Sissons. Sissons. Express your style with Color by Sissons.
In an industry where customers expect quality, M&N Hardware Limited is a leader in locally manufactured aluminum windows, doors, roofing, and guttering. Our manufacturing division is efficient, flexible, and will always go the extra mile to surpass customer expectations. If you need security, sash, casement, or projected windows, we're able to do it. Our security and heavy-duty doors are state-of-the-art and can be customized specifically for you. Using innovative coating technologies and protective film, our roofing and guttering is weather-resistant, providing outstanding color retention for many years. Available in 24 and 26 gauge and a variety of color options. We are the leading company, a family that is proving to customers they can have their dream products. M&N Hardware Limited. Foundation to roof, let's build together.
Are you ready to take your brand to the next level? Look no further than the Chameleon Design Studios, the creative powerhouse behind Key Central and dozens of standout brands across Grenada and beyond. From web designs, animations, and motion graphics to custom video productions, we bring your visions to life with unmatched efficiency and professionalism. Need a logo? Logo design starts at just $1,500, and our starter pack includes brochures, call cards, and letterheads. Whether you're launching a new business, revamping your identity, or telling your story visual, Chameleon Design Studios is the new face of designs. Call us now at 1473-422-8601 or scan that QR code. Follow us on Instagram at Chameleon_473. Let's communicate. Call us today.
Turn up the summer vibes with Flow. Add postpaid to your internet and score a Samsung A07 for just $80. Or grab a $300 summer pack. New to Flow? Get postpaid and receive $500 off the new Samsung S26 Ultra. Or switch to prepaid and get a free 30-day plan with 80 gigs. Plus 50% off for 6 months. Every offer lets you spin and win instant prizes. Plus a chance to win an Oro or Golden Mask Carnival experience. Or a grand shopping spree. Visit discoverflow.co today and turn up your summer vibes with Flow, cause we keep your rhythm flowing.
Real expression on 919 Real FM. Unfiltered truth, cultural pride, and the power of radio to amplify voices in Grenada. Whoa! Tuning on the spice side, hear the airwaves free. Sugar-coated lyrics, no fabricated vibe, just the raw truth that flow like Mount Kwakwa tribe. From Grand Anse to St. George, this the people them a shout. Real expression now hide, let your heart pour out. Microphone to the heavens, the signal strong and clear. Voices of the voiceless, the oppressed, the sincere. Real FM are the vessel, your message fill the air. Speak your truth, Grenada, where your heart there. Real expression, real connection. 91.9, the righteous reflection. From the hills to the harbor, hear the nation sing. Real FM, the sound where make freedom ring. Real expression, real connection. 91.9, the righteous reflection. From the hills to the harbor, hear the nation sing. hears her wisdom, youths them chant for change. The radio no silence the struggles we face. Amplify the joy, the pain, the grace. Nutmeg in the rhythm, cocoa in the bass. Real FM hold the mirror to the spice all face. Wheel up the truth selector, let the people speak. 91.9, no weak heart, no meek. From Carriacou shores to the Greater Lake Deep. Real expression loud and the nation loud. Lyrics are a temple, the DJ is the priest. Every song a sermon, every word released. No censorship, no chains, just the soul laid bare. Grenada's heartbeat pulsing through the FM here. When the storm take the island, the signal still repair. Real FM 91.9, the sound of prayer. Real expression, real vibration. 91.9, the soul of the nation. Keep the frequency alive, no hesitation. Grenada voice rise.
Awesome. So welcome back. Thank you for joining us. This is Real FM, and we're discussing domestic violence, focusing on men just a little bit. We're talking to Dr. Panchu, and just before the break, we were talking about why does domestic violence happen. We talk about some triggers, why is it more prevalent with men, and so on. And I want to focus now on the impact on the victims and families. You know, the emotional and psychological effect domestic violence has on the victims, those who suffer.
Yeah. Well, let's start first of all with the primary target of the domestic violence. So whatever it is, whether it is financial, sexual, economic, physical, emotional, stalking, cyber, whatever it is, the recipient of all of that abuse, what does it do to her and him in some cases? First of all, it diminishes your self-esteem. Okay, you start questioning yourself. What did I do wrong? Why am I not good enough? What is wrong with me? Very often, the survivors of domestic violence are prone to ask this question. So it affects their self-esteem. How do they see themselves? Then there is this embarrassment because society now knows. Because of the smallness of our society, they know. And so other people know. And as a result, they are feeling belittled and embarrassed and ashamed, even sometimes to walk the street. And so that's why you see many of them in domestic violence situation, they become isolated, they become depressed. There is a psychological spin-off to that. Not only that, we have to start thinking of a phrase that is very common, and that is something called learned helplessness. Learned helplessness is where I batter you sufficiently for you to start thinking that there is absolutely nothing good in you or about you, and as a result you internalize that. And when you internalize that, you can understand women become very careless about the looks, and they do not feel the need to take care of themselves anymore. Sometimes they get into the point where they gain weight. They're no longer exercising. They're no longer caring for their hair and their nails that they should.
Right.
So there is this nasty spin-off from domestic violence that and you know, when men see that, then they withdraw their attention. You know, nobody wants a careless woman with their hygiene, etc., right? And I don't want to make it gross, but I just want to make it real enough for us to understand that when you damage the ego strength or the self-esteem of a woman, you are putting her in a very vulnerable position, in an embarrassing position, and sometimes they don't have the the internal strength to fight.
Right.
Okay, so they succumb to a state of helplessness.
Right. So we talked about the adults who are affected. What about the children and the younger ones who are onlooking?
Well, I tell you this. Every child wants to protect their mother. And in this case, where males are identified as the predominant perpetrator of domestic violence, you ask about the children. Children are vulnerable. Children grow up with this hatred. Men do not understand. When you inflict abuse on a child's mother, that child grows up with a certain level of hatred and animosity for you. One of these days, it is going to come out in ways that we least expect.
Right.
And that's the truth about children, okay? But not only that, it causes our children to become violent, because you talk about it. In earlier on, we talk about how nurture affect children, okay, and how it affect people. When a child sees his father perpetrating violence against his mother, he starts to think, maybe that's normal.
Right.
Maybe that's normal. And so I'm going to do it in school if I get away with it. Even if the teacher punishes me, she is only reinforcing, because now they are using force against me. So it's all right to use force.
Right. So there is this mantra, hurt people. Can this
absolutely
travel through child?
Well, of course, that's what trauma is. Trauma is hurt people.
Right.
And the research says that most men who inflict physical violence or just domestic violence have in some form in their lives either witnessed or experienced it.
Right. So I'm going to get to the point where we would speak about how people can be helped.
Yes.
But I wanted to ask that question. You believe there's some helplessness going on to persons who perpetrate domestic violence?
Yeah.
So I've seen where the victim, maybe a wife or a girlfriend or some loved one, get injured physically, goes to the hospital. Then the man cares for them at the hospital. He feels really sorry and broken, and things get back to normal, and he does it again and again and again.
Yes.
What's happening there?
Okay, so let me tell you something. There is something called the Stockholm Syndrome. Okay, and Stockholm Syndrome is developed from a real life experience where in Stockholm, Sweden, three guys actually held the bank hostage, right? And so they were in there, and the tellers who were petrified, because it was a standoff for about 2 or 3 days. And by the second day, two of the tellers fell in love with the guys who robbed the bank and held them hostage.
Right, interesting.
Yeah. So there is something in psychology called the Stockholm Syndrome, which means that very often the people who abuse you, if they could show you love, you fall in love with them.
Mm-hmm.
And it is similar, a concept of what you just articulated, where the man beats you to pulp, you end up in the hospital, but then he comes apologetically. Now he comes with flowers and oil down, right?
In greater context.
In greater context, and chicken soup.
Kentucky.
And yeah, KFC, right? There you go. KFC or doubles. In my case, if you bring doubles for me, I will love you. So, and what happens there is that they no longer see him as a perpetrator. They now see him as a savior.
Right. Oh, interesting.
Very, very interesting psychological concept. And as a result, next time he beats you, your mind takes you back when he brought you the oil down and when he brought you the chicken food.
Right. So
right.
A bit of reverse psychology. But I was going to ask you as well, why does the victim stay?
The victim stays because, one, I talked about learned helplessness. Secondly, and this one is very tragic when it comes to the Grenadian context, in that a lot of ladies or women, they lack the necessary skills to be independent. It's not that they can't do it. It's just that they have never afforded themselves to learn how to do things on their own. They have always depended upon a man for provision. And in some cases, they go from man to man to man to man to man.
Right.
And as a result, they have never developed that that emotional strength or even intellectual strength to be independent and to do for themselves. And so when you're 35 and you're 40 and a man is beating on you and you lack skills to go out and look for a job or to create your own small industry, you just stay in there. That is what is learned helplessness.
Wow. Okay. So
Yeah.
Nabi, we can open the phone lines whenever they come. We will take them.
Yeah.
Interesting conversation. But I really wanted to know why the victim stay, why
Yeah.
the perpetrator continues,
Yeah.
why he feels so sorry, and he express. I mean, I've had interactions with persons who perpetrate abuse who express real sorrow over the
Yes.
situation.
Yeah, real
and
sorrow.
then it just continue.
Yeah.
Whether or not is they're hurt and they're hurting somebody else is an issue, or whether maybe it's just about being dominant.
Yeah.
Yeah. What role does dominance play in this scenario?
It's a miscalculation of the role of the male. Okay, it's a miscalculation. It's a false narrative where we think. But let me introduce a concept here, that of personality defects.
Right.
Men, not men, just humans are born with a variety of varying personalities.
Right.
In other words, you hear people say he's a narcissist, he is XYZ, he's a psychopath. And these are personality traits that people are born with. And as a result, think of it. If you link up in a relationship with someone who is a narcissist, that is, self comes first, self comes second, self comes third, you barely get a chance. Everything is about them. The world revolves around them. And if they do not wake up in the morning, then the world stands still. That's a narcissist, okay?
Right.
And if you are in a relationship with a person with a narcissistic personality disorder, then you can understand how horrible your relationship is going to be.
Right. Yes, that's true.
You understand? You have all different kinds. I mean, you have. So it depends on the personality, and a personality trait is what we are born with, and it doesn't go away.
Right. So I was going to ask you, since that we're talking personality and these innate traits that we are born with, or maybe we're not yet.
Yeah.
To get to, can they be unlearned / managed?
No, it could be managed, but it cannot be unlearned. And I say managed in the sense that we could do therapy. You could do prayer, because we believe in prayer. We're praying people. And you can take medication for certain personality effects. But it is who we are. It is ingrained in us. And that's why the man who will inflict this wound on his spouse, and he will genuinely become apologetic, because education, the priest or the pastor calls him and say, you got to wise up, you can't do that. And he feels sorry, so he goes out there. But then something triggers him again next week, and he does the same thing, because that is who he is. And that's why very often I tell people, before you get married, you must do a personality assessment on the person that you're going to get married to. Yeah. So it is possible.
Awesome. So now remind me of the phone number.
It is 442-0175.
442-0175. You can chime in, you can call us and be a part of the conversation, ask a question. We have Dr. Pantry with us. We can talk about this. Domestic violence is a scourge, and we need to talk some more about, particularly men. We don't talk about it enough. It's still a bit of a taboo to talk about something where we are called out as the chief perpetrators.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So having said that, I want us to talk now about what does healthy masculinity looks like?
So toxic masculinity is where we believe maleness affords us certain rights and privileges. And when these things do not come our way, we feel as though the world has betrayed us. Healthy masculinity, on the other hand, is tapping into. We have a call, right?
So just finish that.
Yes, and then we'll take
and
the call. Okay. So healthy masculinity, on the other hand, is when the male becomes flexible to life.
Right. Awesome stuff.
There is a certain kind of flexibility that life demands of gender, whether you're male or female. So it's okay for me to mop and sweep my house, and it's okay for my wife to take out the trash.
All right, so stop right here. Take that call. Good stuff. Welcome, caller. Go ahead.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Pierre. Good morning, Mr. Pancho. Good program.
Yes, good morning to you as well.
Now, I'm a fairly young man, right? And I remember growing up with my mother, and I remember a lot, you know. Men used to be abusing my mother, and I just want the nation to know I could have been one of the most notorious criminals in Grenada.
Wow.
As a young man. I could have been one of the most notorious criminals in Grenada. But I choose not. Because of this, I know that God has had a purpose for me and a plan for me.
Cool.
You know? And I'm not ashamed to say, listen, and I want the nation to listen to me right now. I'm a police officer.
Oh.
And you see, Mr. Pierre is a very good individual because he do a lot of teaching, and I know Mr. Pancho is a very good man, and I know where I come from. I know where I come from, and thanks and praise God, my mother is still alive. She's struggling now. You understand? And I know personally who is listening and they get the voice. They know. You know? I go through a lot. Men, my mother end up with different men, and I'm not afraid to say it. When she thinks better coming, worse, beating her up so, you know? And when I watch the situation now, I say, Lord, I need to get rid of these men and them who taking advantage of my mother. You understand? Even my own dad, I could have get rid of him. But I choose not. As I say, the good Lord had things in place for me. So I'm asking and I'm calling on the young men outside there who beating women, who abusing women, even women also who abusing men. Stop it. Because you see what is going on now. You see what is going on, a lot of abuse men. You know what I'm saying? So this is my contribution, and I'll have a good program and continue, brother. Continue, Mr. P and Mr. Pancho. Continue, brother. You check? This is my contribution.
Awesome. Thanks for that call. We were speaking about experiencing and maybe learning the activity and now passing on hurt people. But this caller obviously through spirituality and his choice not to learn the traits is showing something totally different. And so I think we made the point that we can manage what we've learned, and we can unlearn and do far better. How can men express frustration and disappointment? We have another caller? So let's take that call before we go into that awesome stuff. Good morning, caller. Welcome. Thank you for calling in.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Mr. Pierre, good day. One favor first before I start off. Could we have a distinction between males and men?
Right.
The reason for saying that is that the problems associated with the conversation and what we experience, I've never seen a man move like that. I've seen males move like that. In relation in similar event with females, I've never seen females move shady. Not women move shady. I've seen females move shady. I think there's a very grave distinction, and if we apply the distinction, you get to categorize things and move forward easier. Like, for instance, um, males are told when they reach a certain age they become a man, but they're still teenagers or adolescents carrying an adult body. They don't have the maturity to deal with things as a man would, because to get the term as a man, you have to go through certain experiences. It's almost like a badge of honor given to you after going through certain traumas and stuff through life. That's what I was taught. I could be wrong, but that's what I was taught. So moving that way, it's easier for me to, as I say, like categorize things and move accordingly in the domestic appliance, right? Application in life. From I was a little boy, my mom always told me my eyes, I had sleepy eyes. She always told me my eyes would get me girls but never love. She don't want no female cut style on me. So she had me cooking, cleaning, washing, doing all of that stuff from young. In my adolescent life, what when I started to, move around the other gender with a purpose, what I realized was that a lot of people are geared to the domestic things in terms of balance in a relationship, but I'm able to do that for myself. So that didn't contribute much to me mentally or spiritually, emotionally, none of that. The female had to come with more. Um, and I'm saying that to address the fact with in terms of we say gender standards or rules. I was always taught that you have to do what you need to do to make it work. That's part of being a functioning adult and in gears to going towards a man. Becoming a man or experiencing your manhood, you need to know what to do and how to apply it when the situation calls for it. So there's no specific gender rules. It's just doing what you need to do to make the relation work. That's what I was taught. Some people might view it different. So to me, there's no specific gender rules because I mean, if I'm in a relationship, my mom is sick, my daughter is sick, my partner is sick, and they need me to wash their clothes and stuff, I'll do that. If I need to take care of house, I'll do that because that's what makes it work and has an easier transition in every day to day lives, right? Um, I I see in society that there's a push for a redirection in 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 obligations. The families, to me, being sidetracked and more moving to an individual style. Most people are gravitating to a single parent family when that was an alternative. It's like it's something that happened because you didn't have a choice. There are people gravitating to the idea of I want to do it as a single parent, which makes no sense to me because it's mad hard to do that. I'm a single parent myself, and it's hard to say this, and I don't want to offend nobody, but the reality there are some females that does not deserve to be parents, just as there are males that don't deserve to be parents. I actually had a wild thought in my head at time thinking people that bring children into the world without being prepared should be charged because they contribute to a lot of the dysfunction that we have now. They don't have the proper skills, communication, and even financial situation to take care of that. So they have to be dependent on other people. Now you have that happening in every aspect of our society, where that, as you say, females and males, they're not competent enough to take care of themselves, so they have to rely on somebody. So that could be, as you say, a strong reason why they stay in these situations for years. I heard of the Stockholm
to you, we need to talk. This is now the opportunity. I think we're back online now. This is now the opportunity for you to engage in civil conversation, in mutually beneficial conversation with your significant other or with your spouse. And secondly, we need to learn to cry. And to cry in front of your spouse. It is okay to have heart-to-heart conversation with your spouse and to be able to say how you feel.
You said something interesting, Dr. Pancho.
Yeah.
And you've been the specialist and the scientist on it. I embrace it fully. But we're talking about men expressing themselves other than inflicting abuse on other people.
Yeah.
Whether it's in words, whether it's psychological or otherwise. And that can help to be able to ease burden and to deal with the emotional issues that we might be going through. But you talk about crying in front of your spouse. I'm wondering about that because I'm wondering how your spouse would see you, whether or not your spouse would use that as a vulnerability.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that a little bit because it's an interesting conversation where we're getting men now to show their emotions as a way to help them out of this abuse cage.
Yeah, but women cry in front of us all the time. We break their heart, they cry. We raise our voices at them. Right. They say we yell in and they cry. So it's okay. I really and truly. Well, you probably have to ask my wife if because sometimes I cry, and I tell her and I say I'm exposing my heart to you now, and right. So it's not funny, but it is true that men still feel this, that they shouldn't cry. But I don't think women. I think women will respect you. I think women will feel what it is that you're feeling because they're almost always in a state where they cry in front of us and they cry before us. Because really when we hurt them, that's their way of telling us, you have really hurt me and I want you to understand it. And so if we cry before them, I will argue, I haven't done the research yet, but I will argue that they are going to feel the pain that we are feeling.
Right. So we're talking about some new approaches, and I say new because it's still a bit of a taboo for an adult male to show this kind of open emotion, crying and speaking about how you feel. But it's something that we encourage, based on the science, that we have. We see I'm smiling because it's hitting me hard. But nonetheless, it's something that we encourage because men struggle emotionally. They struggle to show how they feel. What are some of the warning signs, doctor, when it comes to men struggling emotionally? How to decipher, how to identify a man who might be struggling emotionally and needing help?
One, substance use. If you find someone who has never been drunk on the street and you see him consuming an inordinate amount of alcohol or drugs, start saying to yourself, he is probably reaching out. He is trying to get some help. If you see a man isolating, that he wants to be, I want to be left alone. And they say that, just leave me the hell alone, right? Leave me the hell alone is a cry for help. Really and truly. I feel vulnerable right now. I don't want to be left alone. I'm only telling you that, but I really want you to hug me.
Right, absolutely.
You understand?
Yeah, I find men who stop looking after themselves.
Yes.
Is also a sign.
Yes,
so you find a man
sign.
who is always shaven, always well cut. He looks clean and smells right. All of a sudden, it doesn't mean that he can't go into going to bed. I'm just saying that you see the physical features of the man change, and you know that something is up.
Yeah.
But even then, having said that, when you've noticed it, how can we get men to talk about this, to express to another man or to somebody else other than the person close to them?
Well, let me tell you this. One-on-one, small groups.
Right.
You see the program that you have with men from your church, these are the things that we need to encourage community organization and community-based, faith-based ministries to get into doing. Because men on a whole will not appear in large forums to talk about these vulnerabilities, their shortcomings. It's secret, it's taboo, it has to be held in a certain way. And when you have one-on-one and you have small church groups and faith-based organizations that help men to deal with it, it becomes a little more personalized.
Right. Awesome.
Yeah.
Remember, viewers and listeners, you can call us and chime into the conversation. We're speaking about domestic violence. We do have a caller coming.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, caller. Thank you for joining us. Welcome.
All right, so my brother, how are you? Everything is all right?
Yeah, everything cool for the most part. Yeah, man.
Right. And then your guest, good morning to you.
Yes, good morning.
Something that they say most women that say that if a man don't beat them, they don't love them. What is the more emotion of that?
Well, I'll let the specialist answer that. I know I heard it before. But let's talk about that.
Really and truly, sir, I don't know I have ever heard it. I have heard people say that, but I have never heard a woman in my all my life, 60 years, I have not heard any woman say, beat me, and if you don't beat me because you don't love me. I think it's a myth. I think it's a real myth. I believe though that there are misguided and misdirected males who believe that this is one form of control and one way of showing that I love you, I care for you, and I want to protect you by abusing you. And I think it's only just a very narrow way of seeing what relationship is about.
Yeah, I think it'll be culture too. Maybe the women who say that, if they do, maybe they learned that from maybe what was happening to their mother or aunt or something. All right, but nobody likes to be beaten.
No,
or to be shouted at or to be pushed around. I think generally human beings want to be treated right.
Yeah.
Yes. How much more you think the churches and community groups can help on this?
I believe we're not going to see things like that in much of governmental policies. So anything to redress the cognitive dissonance among males about power and control and abuse of the spouse must be done in small group settings, in faith-based organizations, in GNOW, the Rotary Club. These are the
stick up in right away. Have a call.
Yeah.
Caller, good morning.
Yes, pleasant good morning to you all.
Morning. How are you?
And let me say it's a very, very interesting topic. It's very rare. You hear that, And I'm sitting here in my living room and I'm really enjoying it. Brother P, how do you do?
Yeah, I'm good.
Wonderful.
Good.
And to you other gentlemen, a pleasant good morning to you. As it relates to violence against the women, we've seen it on a very regular scale. And then we also have violence against children. But during a particular time of the year, you will have Child Month. And we will hear the slogan, child care yes, child abuse no way. And then most of the time, within social development, you will always hear about child abuse and women abuse. But there are times I was taken aback when you hardly hear anything about men abuse. Now, a typical example. If a woman is walking down the road and a man decides to touch her bottom, as a former police officer, I think that's supposed to fall under indecent assault. I'm not sure. But if that woman goes to the police station and make a report as it relates to a man touch her behind or her bottom, I believe that the police will ask that woman, do you want to file charge against that individual? And if she says yes, the matter will be taken to court. Now let us switch it on the other way around. If a man is walking down the road and a woman get behind him and touch his bottom, and he goes to the police station and make a report, the police look at him different. Now I say this to say that, how serious do you believe there are cases of men abuse? And what causes men to be abused by women? But these men stifles everything and do not come to the fore with it. I rest my case. I will listen off the phone.
Yeah, well, the second portion I let the doctor answer it, but I mean, from a former law enforcement point of view, it's just culture. I mean, I remember even as a young police officer, a man coming into the station to make a report, and he says he's beaten by his wife or woman, then that follows with a mighty laugh.
Yeah.
I mean, it was wrong at the time and still wrong now, but I guess it came from a place of how we were cultured.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't mean that we are saying go and beat her back. It's just that how can you be so soft to come and report this? I think we have to dispel that and start taking men seriously with respect to abuse and treat it like that. We are talking about the role the church and the community group play. And I wanted to raise that. It could be a touchy area, but we raise it nonetheless because it's really FM. On the issue of how Christian men could misconstrue the word of God that speaks to them as the head of the home and become abusive. Because let me just say this, that there are quite a bit of abuse even in Christian circles.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Even within the fold of the church, you still have abuse, and it's really happening because men believe that they should be the dominant factor in the home.
Mm-hmm. Well, that is part of the question the last caller asked.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to chime in one little there. I agree with you, caller. There are many instances of women who abuse and perpetrate domestic violence on their spouse or significant other. And it could be emotional abuse, which is most of the time that's what it is. A lot of name calling, a lot of chiding, a lot of embarrassing from women who probably also bred earners, and so they may use that power to abuse their significant others. But I want to transition into the church, the role of the church in addressing domestic violence. The church plays a really vital role, and in helping us to understand the role of males, the role of females in relationship, and as a result, we cannot downplay that role that the church has. I think there was a piece of the question that I am not getting right now that you wanted me to address.
But yeah, he was asking about men response, how the society respond to men who are abused, and he was concerned about that. We have another caller. Let's take that caller and then we continue.
Morning.
Go ahead, caller. Thank you. Welcome.
You're in a great subject. Me, myself, I saw my mother as a child get abused by a man, and I love women. I will never have that happen. But what can we do for our brothers? I have one in my building right now, threatening the women, and he's very threatening me if I would talk back to him.
Wow.
Is there a way y'all can reach out and help him?
Well, I mean, we were talking about it. Thank you for your call. We're talking about it, and we're trying to bring awareness and a greater understanding of not just the issue, but how to deal with it. So I'm hoping that through our conversation, that you might be able to help him. You might be able to point him to somewhere. If he's threatening, then I suspect the best person to call is the police. But outside of that, we are sharing some ideas here that help. So we were talking about the church and the role the church can play. What I recognize as somebody who a churchgoer, a believer, sometimes we speak about it on the surface, and we believe that Christian men are not going through similar things, and so we brush it aside and just believe that's okay. But we don't delve into it and actually deal with it.
Well, let me say this here. I recently did a presentation to the University of the Southern Caribbean in Trinidad, and the forum was on domestic violence in the church.
Right.
Here is what the research shows. We're about to take a break. Okay. Caller, just hold on. Let me finish, and then we'll take the caller. And here is what the research shows, that there is a higher rate of domestic violence in the church, and I'm talking about the Seventh-day Adventist Church. They perpetrated by the misconception of what the scripture says: wives, submit to your husband.
Right.
Which, if you read it as it sounds right now to us, it means that men are supposed to enforce, right? And unfortunately, there are members of churches in the Caribbean, all churches, who use that scripture to make it right for them to abuse their spouse.
Right. So
even the children.
Right. We have a caller on line?
Yeah.
Let's take the caller.
Yes. Good morning again.
Morning.
I do believe why men cry also. Men cry for women due to, profound and emotional. Now, a man might cry for a woman or whatever his wife because of certain things we do, and then a fear of losing her, So that is my political intake.
Right. Thank you, caller. Well, that happens too.
Yeah.
But we're really talking about showing emotions to be able to deal with the hurt.
Yeah.
Not necessarily as a bargaining chip. You know, we were talking about the word of God and Christianity.
Yeah.
Ephesians 5:25 talks about husband loving your wife.
Yeah.
But there's a caveat. It says that Christ loves the church and gave his life for it.
Yeah.
And so that can be seen as a negative connotation when it comes to dominance. But he's speaking about love, he's speaking about forgiveness, he's speaking about giving chances and embracing even if when somebody goes wrong. That's how Christ behaved.
Yeah.
So I suspect if we lean on that kind of understanding, you recognize that there is no room for abuse or so-called dominance.
Yeah. Absolutely there is, mutual love and respect. Yeah.
Are there enough outlets for men to get help to speak? So sometimes when you have a few spate of domestic violence, maybe somebody dies, then there's a bit of awareness. So it's like a selective outrage.
Yeah.
But there isn't a continuous gateway for men to feel free about it. I give you a joke, a serious joke that years ago when my son was getting ready for CXC, I made an appointment and took him to a counselor just to have a conversation. He was a little bit flustered and so on. And you know what his friend said to him? Are you getting mad, or are you going to a counselor for? So there is this notion that if you seek help, then because you have some major problem, and because of that, men doesn't necessarily seek help. And in addition to that, you walk through the entire country and you'll never see a sign saying psychiatry or so.
Yeah.
That's a hidden thing that we do undercover.
Yeah.
I suspect it's time that we start seeing the signs.
Yep.
I'm saying
Yeah.
that, psychiatry or whatever, people can
Yeah.
just walk in as a normal
mental health.
Mental health.
Yeah.
People can
Yeah.
walk in
Yeah.
and do that. What
Yeah.
is your view on that?
Well, first of all, you asked whether or not we have sufficient avenues. I think we have some avenues. I don't
Right.
think we have what we need. Church-based, faith-based counselors and trained ministers will play their part. But I don't think as a society we are ready for those of us who put up psychological services. I mean, we get right,
right.
but you have to be a certain kind of caliber to
Right.
really get people to come to see you. But you're right, because we are at the point in our development and in our history where we think anyone who seeks psychological help has to be crazy.
Right.
Okay, and in other places, getting psychological help or mental health help is really routine. It's like you see your dentist, you see your general practitioner. You also, because the World Health Organization describes total health as not just physical health, but
Right.
also psychological health and well-being. So
Stick up in the doctor.
Yeah.
Good stuff. We have a caller. Good morning. Welcome.
Hello, good morning, Mr. Fair and Mr. Pancho.
Thank you for calling.
I have something to share this morning. I was waiting for Mr. Fair when the program today, but as I was talking about abuse, someone come from the prison, he out, and my son gave him my number. The person called, I asked, who is that person? I don't know that number. I cut off the phone. The person called back again. I asked, who is it? I cut off the phone. Then when he called, he said, miss, busy? I paused. I said, yes, that is my son. He said, well, I was up there and I come up. I just want to tell you what is happening. Because me as a pastor, me as a parent, I know how I grow my children, and you see, shame, that is a thing I can't take. So when he gets himself involved, I never run behind him. I say, if you do the crime, you got to make the time. But that don't mean to say advantage is going to take on him, and I would not step up. Today, I just want to some prison officer by the name of Michael beat him so bad. I don't know the thing. Well, Mr. Penn might know the thing they was having the prison. They say they have steel or what in that thing, and they beat him so bad until he gets a blood clot. And nobody wants to pay for the X-ray. So I'm just calling to share that, to say, like, what must I do towards the situation? I have to make my time to go up there to find out what is happening. If he does something what is wrong, they have the law. They're supposed to lock him down or something. But do not put their hands on him.
All right, well, I hope the authorities heard you.
Yeah.
All right, thank you so much. So we are talking about gateways.
Yeah.
What advice you would give to a man or a woman in that case who believe they have abusive tendencies? Before you answer that, we have a call. Let's take it. No, we lost that. So yeah, how do I respond? I believe I have abusive tendencies. What should I do?
Seek a professional help. I tell you this because uncontrolled anger is a dangerous situation to be put in. And there are people who we call it impulse control disorder. In other words, you really can't regulate your behavior. And when you can't, that's why people get into fights. You see people get into multiple fights. Every weekend they're fighting. This is because they have what is called an impulse control disorder. everything and anything will trigger them. If you know that about yourself, and or if someone points out that to you as a deficit in your character, I encourage you to seek help. Because there are therapeutic strategies that we can use with you to prepare you to be observant about things that will trigger you.
Right.
And if you are able to recognize your triggers, then you are able to control the way you behave and respond to those triggers.
Right.
But if you do not have help and you do not know and you're not aware, every and any little thing, the smell, the sound, person's voice, an articulation, just a raise of hand will trigger you. You already have impulse control disorder.
Yeah, I'm sensing
Yeah.
Doctor, the urgent need for greater education.
Yeah.
Much more discussion, because what I'm sensing here is that could be a family approach.
Yes.
The family can now point out that dad or uncle may
Yeah.
have you having that
Yeah.
and help you along the way. Because I would imagine we talked about traits and managing traits and managing alcohol use. It's a maze when it comes to the complexity of dealing with all the issues. Adding alcohol and drug to traits that already exist, that we have the tendency to be abusive,
Yeah.
could be quite troubling. So it means therefore that it takes family, church, community. What role should the community play in all this?
I think part of domestic violence and the perpetration of violence against women or men is hinged to, and when we talk about community based, it's hinged to the way our friends and peers respond. And if you are looking for your friends or your peers to deliver you out of trouble, then that is in futility. Friends are the ones that are going to laugh at you and jeer at you and make you do stupid, silly things, right? So look for friends that will encourage you, okay? That will support you, that will cry with you, that will sit and talk with you about your struggles. If you are struggling with violence, if you are struggling with abuse in your relationship, talk at the community-based level. Reach out to your church. I cannot overemphasize the role of the religious community in nation building. It's not just in to the weekly service and sermon and give food baskets, but it's also the social aspect and the psychoeducation about teaching us how to live better in our community, in our families, how to treat our families, how to treat our spouse, how to treat our children. So you ask about community in establishing that forum where men and women can get help. And I don't think that we have tapped really into the religious or the church community enough. We go there for funerals and we go there for the Sunday and the Sabbath sermons, and that's it.
Yes, right there. So we have a call. Good morning, welcome.
Yeah, good morning, welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, so in that case, I'm sure the church is the one day if he could return back on radio and speak again before the month finish, or if you could take it from there, we would if you could think about it once a month to have a program like that on radio.
All right.
But that's why you could take my phone number, please.
You want my phone number?
Yeah.
You better give me yours and then you get mine. So once you tell me yours, and I'll be now write it down and then you get mine.
Yeah, well, all right, okay.
So just yeah, you could give one.
Oh, you want mine?
Yeah, say yours. Yeah.
Okay, 449 3547.
Awesome. So I will contact you. No problem, my brother. Thank you for calling. Well, but I mean, he's asking for more, and that's a good sign. That we are open to talk about this, because I It's still taboo to talk about domestic violence.
Mhm.
When you talk to men about domestic violence, everybody appear to be very quiet. They will never admit that, yeah, I'm experiencing it or I'm a perpetrator of it. They seem very embarrassed and quiet about it. And I think that is a starting point. If we can get men to call in to talk about it and to learn innovative ways that they can use to get around it. It will be quite useful. I was just wondering, as we wrap up, we have another about 20 minutes.
Okay.
When it comes to relationship, talking about relationship just starting, how can the partners identify possible traits that would turn out to be abusive in the future? I was speaking to some young people recently, and I was speaking about, you mentioned stalking, how you have a friend, no strings attached, and they want to know wherever you are. They want to call you every minute of the day, and you have to report. And I say to them, that's not love, that's stalking. Maybe I mischaracterize it, I don't know, but just from my experience. And that sometimes, to me, is a trigger. It's an identifying factor that you say, now that person might be going too far. How do you guide a young couple might be to identify triggers, and not to break up now, but to seek the appropriate help before they get more serious?
No, and your analysis of the sin about it's not. It is a form of stalking, and it is a form of abuse. It's a form of emotional abuse. Okay? So, signs. Some simple signs. One, over-controlling. They need to know where you are, what are you doing every hour of the day to account for. And this is not really normal. This is not normal because we are individuals. You have to understand the individuality of people, okay? And if you need to tap into someone to know where they are and what they're doing 24/7, then this is a sign. Secondly, any form of physical restraint and or hurt, it's a telling sign. So if he starts pinching you, it might be small pinch, right? Because he's not qualified to give big pinch. Yeah. Or pushing you, or restraining you so that you can't move if you say you want to leave, and he locks the car if you are in his car or her car, anything like that is a telltale sign that there is something brewing that you're going to have to deal with maybe now or never. Okay? Preventing you from talking to your friends. That's another one. Preventing you, restricting you from your family. Oh, don't listen to your mom. Don't listen to your dad. These are telltale signs that we are heading down a path of general abuse. We have a caller?
Awesome. So we do have a caller. Go ahead, caller. Good morning. Welcome.
Yeah, morning. I'm enjoying your program. Pancho and stuff here. I'm enjoying your program.
Thank you.
However, I think that there are a lot of more information that you will bring out on your next episode. Yes? So, I gained a lot of training while I was in the police force. Of course, you will tell me that. I gained a lot. That of training at home, it helped me a lot while I was in the force also. Because my mother, she taught me how to iron, how to sweep, how to cook, and those different things that mothers usually teach the children at home. I had two sisters, but they were a lot in school, whereas I would have been in the garden most of the time. But whatever she gave me, I took it dearly. And so I was able to use it while I was in the force. Yeah? So, coming around here now, the point about abuses and domestic violence. Now, we are, It's really awkward, huh? It's very awkward. Like, the man is supposed to be providing for the woman. Yes? The man is supposed to be providing for the woman regardless to what. He is. And that is the culture that we have trained the ladies with. So she have to look for a good man. A man that have money and could support her, all the way. And he, on the other hand, working hard and trying to provide. But then lately, things got different. Yeah? And he couldn't really do it as he used to do it before. So, what do you term that man that time? Is he a man still? Will he be a man still because he is not able to provide for his wife or for his children? Is he a man still? How do we categorize that? Okay, let am I online with you? Still?
Yes, you're there. Go ahead, caller.
Yes.
We're listening.
Yes, yeah. So I'm saying, at that point in time when he can't walk anymore, will we say he's a man still? Or what do we do? How do we tell the woman to treat him? How should she be treating him then? Will she be telling him, look, all that you gave me before doesn't mean a thing because you can't provide it now, so I have to get somebody else. And how should he feel? How should he take it? Yeah? So he have to relax himself and say, oh, it's only normal. And he can go tell nobody that. He can come and tell the police. In fact, Mr. Pierre, you don't want to hear him. You might laugh at him. Yeah? And so with that now, it builds another sensation on him and different tensions that build up on him according to what he saw when he was growing up. Those violence that he saw and the way men used to talk about men and if it's me, what I would have done and stuff like that. Yeah? And so those things, we need to be conscious that all these are part of this life. All these are part of this life. So you have to teach me now how I should handle that. Yes? So I go to talk to somebody. I didn't talk to the police. I talked to somebody else. I didn't talk to Mr. Pancho. I spoke to somebody else. Boy, if it's me, you know what I would have done. And that's another man. But then he talked to another woman. And the things she'll say about that woman is too much. So you have to be careful. As a man, we have to be careful which side do we listen to. Because this is dangerous. That's where the danger comes in. If you cannot talk to the significant other, then the way you talk to yourself, and mind you, it's a very good thing to talk to yourself, or we should talk to ourselves. And we should also listen to ourselves. Yeah? Am I correct?
Yes, you're correct.
Yes.
Caller, thanks a lot. We have a few winding up things to do, so we'll be really glad for your call.
Okay.
And catch you next time. Thank you. All right, so a mouthful there. I mean, he's speaking about the reverse and how people see men when they go through difficulties.
This Mr. Pierre is a really good point.
Mm-hmm.
As we conclude, as we try and we come into conclusion. Because we talk about roles and responsibilities and caring for, and so what the caller really was talking about is what I refer to as situational circumstances,
right.
And that is, if there is a true relationship and somebody loses his or her job, let's say the man loses his breadwinning capabilities.
Mm-hmm.
A woman will not chide him and will not embarrass him as a no good person. Okay, in a true relationship, the relationship will add essence, and so the woman will become supportive of and maybe help him do applications, and maybe she work a little harder. So while he's on the down. So this is not an opportunity to embarrass a man because he has lost his earning potential, and And that's a form of domestic violence.
Yes,
you see, that's what we're saying. That's what we're saying. It's a form of domestic violence, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have it on both sides.
Yeah.
And I think this opportunity for men to express themselves is so important because it's something that you don't see very often. I know that most of the callers are actually men, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
I'm trusting that we are finding a way to make a difference. Yeah. And so as we wrap up this conversation, obviously there seems to be some interest that we'll talk some more about it sometime, and that will come. I guarantee this to the listeners and the viewers. What message do we give to men and families who are experiencing some kind of a domestic violence now, some kind of abuse? What's the next step? What do they do? What should they do?
Life comes, Mr. Pierre, life comes with its various forms of stress. All kinds of stress, okay? Illnesses, financial stress, bills, work, children. Those are sufficient for us to have to deal with. Let's not add the perpetration of domestic violence to regular life stresses. Okay? I mean, it's hard to go by when you have children and you don't know how they're going to get money for school next day or what it is that they're going to have for dinner when they come from school. But when we add domestic violence and the hurt of other people, we are compounding it and we are traumatizing people and we are traumatizing children who will later on, the research says, a great 67% of them are going to perpetrate violence against their spouse later on. 67%, 2/3. And that is significant. So my encouragement here is that when we sense that we are out of control, when we sense that we have to use our hands instead of our voice in a calm way, and even the voice can become verbal and emotional abuse. So we have to even be very careful how we use the voice. But to slap around and to embarrass a spouse, it is time for us to seek help.
Right.
It is time for us to seek help.
Yeah, as we wrap up, I want to know, is there a place to introduce this to small children? I mean, the kindergarten.
Yeah.
How do we start instilling in them how to treat a woman? Yeah. How to respond to no. Some men have difficulty in accepting no. They have to know teach us that no means no. Which is seems very complex, that you're using a word to describe another word, that no means no. And I'm thinking, if we can now instill that in a real way at a very tender age, whether or not that cannot be as a mitigating agent to thwart this scourge of domestic violence. Your thoughts on that as well?
Yes, and we got to start with the young ones. A good place to start is always with the young ones. Secondly, firstly is the family. You start in the family. But if your family is in an abusive situation, then they are less inclined to and less available to really teach. So we have to start with the young ones. I say the churches, the schools, the kindergarten, wherever we find children, working with children. We have to develop programs in our school system, in our curriculum, to in the family life programs that we teach how to respect self, how to set boundaries, setting boundaries, because domestic violence is a violation against the boundaries of another person.
Yes,
that's
true,
what it is.
True.
So we have to teach our boys how not to violate boundaries, and we have to teach our girls how when their boundaries are violated, that they need to speak up. Okay? Domestic violence is a very stressful and traumatic experience for anyone and any family. It hurts families. It even hurts the perpetrator, because somewhere along the line, unless he's a psychopath, he is going to feel guilty. And guilty feeling, walking around with the feeling of guilt is not normal. Okay? It doesn't give you the peace that we all want to be emotionally stable. Okay? So it hurts the perpetrator, it hurts the victim and the survivor, it hurts the children, it hurts your parents, it hurts the community, it hurts the church.
Exactly.
You know, how do you feel that you are, you're perpetrating violence against your spouse and then you stand up in the pulpit to pray? It doesn't make sense because you are going there with a sort of mixed conscience. You know?
Right.
So domestic violence on a whole is something that needs attention, and always it's not a one-time thing. It's how we teach people to develop positive relationships. First of all, love self. And then how do we love people around us? You know, it boils down to really how much we love. Domestic violence is about love.
It's about love and relationship.
Yes, it is all about love. If I love my spouse, I will not do anything to hurt her and hurt the children that she is going to bear for me. And if we could get men and women to inculcate that concept about relationship, we're going to do better.
Yeah, awesome. That's a nice way to wrap it up. I mean, we had a mouthful of conversation this morning. We talked about identifying domestic violence. We talked about triggers. We talk about signs and how to identify. We also spoke about some solutions, how people can get help, and how to express yourself. And we talk about NOTIA and personal traits. We talk about a whole heap this morning on domestic violence. I'm trusting that we found it interesting. I want to thank our callers for calling in. For once dominated by men, willing to talk about domestic violence. I want to thank Dr. Panchu for his expertise and for really going the course with us this morning. I want to thank Nabi for our technical support. And all of you who tune in to Real FM. Normally Andrew say Real FM, the real boss. I'm going to follow that this morning. So it's a real pleasure being with you, having this important discussion. We come back tomorrow for Political Wednesday. It will be interesting. Just me though, not Dr. Panchu. We have some conversation on some local politics. So God be with you. Stay safe and one love.
In an industry where customers expect quality, M&N Hardware Limited is a leader in locally manufactured aluminum windows, doors, roofing, and guttering. Our manufacturing division is efficient, flexible, and will always